Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're from, where in the world you're joining us. Welcome to the DALI Alliance General Assembly, and thank you for being here today. It's great to have so many of you with us, representing the strength and collaboration to make DALI a leading force in intelligent lighting. We have an important agenda ahead, and we appreciate your time and participation. If you have any questions during the session, please enter them in the Q&A section of the webinar, and we'll do our best to address them at the end of the webinar. And with that, I'll turn it over to Paul to get us started.
Thanks, Jeremy. So yeah, again, welcome everybody to this General Assembly of the DALI Alliance. I'm Paul Drosin, I'm the General Manager. Many of you know me already. First thing to do is we need to show our legal notice. It's an official meeting of the Alliance. You are members, you're bound by this as part of the charter. Hopefully you're all familiar with it. If not, then I'll give you a moment just to familiarize yourself with the contents of this notice. And by remaining on the call, you abide by the requirements in the charter and in our legal notice. Okay. And again, quickly for those that are joining us right now, welcome to the General Assembly. I'd highlight that the DALI Alliance is a non-profit program of IEEE ISTO. So this General Assembly will be in accordance with our charter. It may differ from legal requirements for annual general meetings or that type of thing in different countries. So this is in accordance with our charter, not necessarily within, in accordance with those regulations that you may be familiar with elsewhere. Please ensure that you've included your name and your organization name when logging into the webinar. By organization name, that just means something that we can identify you by, particularly your organization email address when you logged in, that's fine. The information is essential. There will be voting, and after the event, we'll just double check everything to make sure that we don't get duplicate votes from different organizations. That said, there is one vote per member organization. So ensure that you've agreed upfront who will vote in your organization. And when the voting time comes for voting, please only have one person per member org voting. And the presentations will last for up to 90 minutes. Then we'll have a Q&A session. Put your questions into the Q&A box. Please don't use the chat. And do not include confidential information, taking note of the antitrust policy and other things that we mentioned previously. And the recording and presentation materials, so it's being recorded. If you don't accept that, then please leave. By remaining, you consent to the recording. And presentation materials and a webinar recording will be available after the event at that address. So the first section, it's an intro. There's already enough of an intro. So just quickly, we are at section 1, welcome and introduction. So we went through our legal notice. The roll call is done automatically by WebEx, so that we don't have to take care of that. The agenda approval, which is this, so that's already been approved, and there was no any other business that was notified. And then I'll take you through some introductions. I'll just briefly run through this. So we'll talk about achievements over the last 2 years since the last General Assembly. Then I will release the current board, and you, the members, will vote for a new board to be appointed, and the nominees for that have been circulated previously. Then we'll talk about our plans for 2025 and beyond. As I mentioned, there's no AOB, so there won't be any. And then we'll have a session at the end for questions and answers. So please put those questions in the chat, sorry, not in the chat, in the Q&A box as we go through the webinar. Please feel free to put them in there. Please don't use the chat. And then we'll end sometime before 3 p.m. UK time. So the speakers that you'll hear today, myself, Paul Drosin, up on the right-hand side there. You already heard from Jeremy Ludigan, our Global Marketing Manager. You will also hear from Arnulf Rupp, who is the Chair of our Board of Directors. And you'll hear from Scott Wade, who is our Technical and Certification Manager. We've got pretty pictures up on the screen. I'll introduce you to the DALI Alliance. Hopefully you're familiar with the Alliance, but I'll just remind you that it's an open, independent global consortium of lighting companies that aims to grow the market for lighting control solutions based on DALI. We're also known as the Digital Illumination Interface Alliance, or DIiA. You might see those on some materials, including on the footer of this presentation. That's still our legal name officially, but for everything public, we use the DALI Alliance. We now have over 430 members, and you'll see the growth of that and the progression of that in more detail later. And over 5,600 DALI 2 certified products, with over 1,700 DALI version 1 registered products still in the database. Membership allows the trademark use, as you well know. A brief touch on the market then. So the lighting controls market, the world outlook for connectivity technologies in lighting controls shows DALI as the leading technology worldwide with around 43% share. This is a little bit old data. The source is Omdia. And they also stated that open protocols will be the growth winners over the next few years in smart lighting and connected controls, which of course we agree with. We do plan to refresh this data. Unfortunately, they didn't carry that out prior to the GA, unfortunately. So the next General Assembly will have an updated data. But we did purchase this additional report from a different analyst. And this concurs with the Omdia data, actually, that approximately 15% CAGR. And it's different by type. So the share of the market of software versus hardware. And of course, DALI fits very much into the hardware section. And then by communication protocol, the wired segment occupies the largest market share, of which DALI we would expect to be the largest component of the market share for wired, 82% in 2024, and the wireless segment is expected to witness the highest CAGR of 18.26% over the forecast period. Those are the critical data points that I would take from this slide. I'm not going to go any deeper than that. And then yet another report that is also a few years old now. We talk about the DALI market spanning 3 decades, huge amount of case studies and winners of the DALI Lighting Awards, and hopefully you all submitted projects for those. Small installations to major infrastructure projects around the world. And DALI is the largest segment for smart lighting with 15% CAGR expected over the next 5 years. And again, that report was some years ago, and it's certainly commensurate of the growth that we have seen as an organization, which you'll see later. That's all from me by way of introduction. I will come back later. Right now, I will hand over to Arnulf, our Board of Directors Chair, to give you more information on what we've been doing over the last few years. Arnulf?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Also, warm welcome from my side. It was really my pleasure to serve another 2 years as the chair of the board of directors, and I'm happy to present some results from this 2 years. Yeah, as mentioned by Paul already, if you have questions, please use the Q&A. If you have trouble finding it, it's not the chat, it's the 3 dots in the circle right of the chat, and there you will find Q&A. All right, so the way how we structure this part is always that we are looking at the strategic ambitions we observed in the last General Assembly, and we reflect how DALI did perform in these categories. So let me start with the more high-level trends and ambitions we have expressed in the General Assembly 2023. I think we can truly say that the trends we have identified and the ambitions are in 23 are really the success factors of the DALI Alliance in 25. A long-running ambition and target has always a strengthening interoperability and standardization. DALI Alliance, as you know, is running the most complete certification program for lighting products, and we're able to further strengthen that with a lot more certified products and also with more test automation. The system DALI has established around the certification tools which members can run in their labs, but also with test houses, is kind of unique and I think very cost efficient and very precise also in the way we certify the products. Last General Assembly, we have identified wireless, was not completely new, of course, but again, we expected a strong growth for wireless lighting controls, and that did happen. And D4I became a major door opener for many wireless ecosystems by enabling any DALI luminaire, any luminaire which is a DALI interface, to become a wireless luminaire in several ecosystems. That's a huge success factor, and in many ways, DALI contributes the cross-vendor interoperability for those ecosystems, also helping our partners to develop together. With the standardized gateways, implementing part 341, 342, we now also offer an additional program to strengthen the cooperation here with a better standardized translation between the different languages of the wireless ecosystems and the DALI interface inside these gateways. There may be still another second wave of wireless in front of us, where LED drivers and sensors may not have a classical wired interface. That is for cost reasons or for other reasons. In peak designs, we may not have an intraluminaire bus, but we may have wireless modules integrated directly into the components. We can see that already in some, with some ecosystem partners. But we also, as DALI Alliance, have added DALI Plus, a wireless technology which allows our members to stay within the DALI ecosystem also for wireless systems. So you're welcome to join us and develop that path together for a wireless future also within the DALI ecosystem. IoT data and sensing has been identified as a key ingredient to make lighting controls more efficient and more interesting also beyond the lighting scope itself. There with the multi-purpose sensor, the part 306, a new category of sensors has been introduced. The certification program isn't open yet, but there's a new IEC standard. And with that, we are enriching the ecosystem of DALI data beyond the parts 25X, which are already very successful in the market. Lighting and well-being has been identified as key for the success of DALI, and it remains so. And it has been demonstrated in many of the awarded products in DALI Alliance that this is really what DALI and DALI technology stands for. So a quick, really important success for sector for DALI. Next slide, please. Yeah, so let's move into the category of sustainability. That was really something which was relatively new in 23. The strong drive for products which are more sustainable, which reduce carbon emission, which overall reduce material consumption. And in 23, it was not 100% clear what the consequences would be. Now we're a lot clearer about these things. Environmental product declarations, EPDs, became the performance indicators for sustainable lighting. And in these EPDs, it's now very clear that the use phase and the energy consumption during the use phase of lighting products is the main contribution to the CO2 footprint and to this category or this categorization of sustainable lighting overall. And that's where intelligent lighting can contribute a lot. Another category is very important here. That's the lifetime of products, and there we should not underestimate that the use of lighting controls by the fact that it's not 100% loading products all time can also be a good contribution to increasing the lifetime of products. So there's a double effect on sustainability and sustainable product design and sustainable lighting systems, and DALI is really in the middle of it. So here I think we can also prove that we are making a very strong contribution. Next slide, please. Yeah, other trends which have been identified as important were, in general, cooperation. The world is getting global, and also lighting is more and more mixing with other parts of a control system in buildings. And in general, cooperation is always an important success driver, as DALI is a membership-driven organization. So the accomplishments in the last period is that we have founded the and even strengthened the China focus group and also the North American promotion working group. And with the first DALI Summit in North America, we have also created a new format to allow for more interaction and more engagement of our members. Beyond that, also the industry cooperation has been increased through new liaison programs. We have added one new liaison program, but also a lot of industry cooperation with organizations like ILD, IES, and LAA, and there's probably a lot more. So important is that through the last 2 years, these interactions have been becoming stronger and will also more and more be helpful in the area of training, which was identified as very important to make the technology more well-known in the industry. Legislation is also something which was found to be very important. So this can be things like the building directive in Europe, but throughout the last 2 years, we also found that cybersecurity is an important regulation which can affect DALI. And there, I'm happy that the members now engage quite strongly into the newly developed work group on cybersecurity. And through that work, we will now have tools available to demonstrate how certification for new upcoming cybersecurity rules can be accomplished. Members are invited to join us here. It's important that we speak one language and develop this together. As a result of that, we're intending to also open a new part in the DALI Alliance website with a specific area on regulation. Next page, please, Paul. Yeah, before I come into the action items, I would like to quickly spend some time on the DALI trademarks and the brand positioning. A big accomplishment was that end of last year, we had a workshop together with an external partner to strengthen our brands and to really clearly sort out what our brands stand for. And I really would like to emphasize and ask for your support to position the brands in exactly that way. So DALI Alliance, the name DALI Alliance uses the DALI brand. Our organization wants to be called the DALI Alliance. Legally, we are DiiA. You have seen that in the invitation. That has historic reasons. When the organization was founded, we didn't own the DALI brand. but now we clearly want to be DALI Alliance, and we want to use DALI as the umbrella brand representing the core technology and the protocol itself, with all its features like interoperability, open, international, robust, well certified, well tested, and comprehensive range of lighting features. We shall not confuse that with our certification brands. DALI, without these extensions, without DALI 2 extension, has never been a certification program and should not be confused with a certification program. Unfortunately, in the past, before certification officially started, we had the DALI brand on products. This is still the case, but it became clear that we clearly want to position the DALI brand as the umbrella brand in the future and don't want to have it confused with certification. Next slide, please. So below this umbrella brand, we now have the 3 certification trademarks. The well-known DALI 2 brand, of course, is still the core. It stands for certified DALI products with the classical wired DALI network cabling. And next to it, we have D4I for the intraluminaire use of DALI. Again, the same 2 wires, but in a different use case. It's really the use of DALI inside the luminaire. Intraluminaire is the term we most frequently use. In North America, people like the name luminaire level lighting control. That's because of the national standards, which have created this term LLC. We use this interchangeable. D4I in any case is for the intraluminaire use of DALI. And last but not least, with D4I, we have a certification mark for DALI with wireless and IP networks. Technically, it's an IP network, but that enables wireless, and therefore we want to see it also connected to the wireless use of DALI. So DALI Plus gives the same benefits like DALI 2 in a building night network, and it allows individual addressability, all the good things we know from DALI 2, but in a wireless way and in a wireless fashion. Next slide, please. Yeah, now I've been talking again about the DALI brands, but this is really a call to action. We see still a lot of confusion about the DALI trademarks. I mean, some of the technical experts here on the call may be surprised. It seems also clear, but indeed we see a lot of confusion in the market about what the different brands mean. And therefore, a call to action to our members, please always make clear and use the brands in the correct way. Use DALI as the umbrella brand. Don't bring it in direct contact or in directly on products unless it's one of the legacy DALI version 1 products. For the certification marks, always make clear that this means interoperability because all these products are tested. We also aim to remove the DALI version 1 control gears from the product database on the long run to finalize that cleanup process. We want to do this very much in the alignment with membership. We know that this can be a hassle. These products may not be able to be recertified under DALI 2. We see a lot of legacy of HID and low pressure discharge ballasts in this category of DALI version 1 control gear. So we will do this in very tight alignment with the members. We will not surprise you with anything, but the DALI board, after the workshop, is committed that on the long run, we want to clean up the use of the brands and avoid the DALI brand to be confused as a certification mark because you can find it on products. All right, next slide, please. So that now brings me to the investments, the key action plan from the last General Assembly. So let me quickly go through the different ambitions and targets we had in 23 and reflect on what was accomplished. So for the certification rollout for interoperability, which is and was always the highest priority, we can report that we now have practically 100% test automation. And we also have added a lot of new DALI parts, which really further strengthens the technical program of the Alliance. A very important part in the color control, the XY has been added. 331 feedback, part 104 is essentially DALI Plus. Part 105 is the firmware upgrades. So important things have been added to the certification program throughout these 2 years. We were able to accomplish that by also increasing our skills, and we had to invest into a lot of technical work here. New skills have been developed in the area of wireless, also in the area of cybersecurity, and new specifications have been added in areas which go beyond the just only control protocol. For lighting, also we went into emergency lighting, but also things like SPDs have been added to the program. Yeah, we had a lot of investment into increased marketing activities. Most and foremost, we had invested a lot into new training materials. This may not be visible to all the members yet. We are building up cooperations with other organizations to provide more training on DALI. And for that, we had to create the training materials. They are still in finalization. That's why they may not be visible. But there was a lot of progress being done on these training materials, and you will see them surface soon. We had our first DALI Summit in North America, and we had a strong increase in participation in conferences where our members or our staff members have made presentations. Last but not least, investment into legal and trademarks. I already mentioned the brand workshop. We also had some limited investment into a web crawler, which allows us to identify the use of the trademark, and which also allows us to identify potential misuse of the trademark, such that when we can appropriately act to that. Next slide, please. So next category of our targets was on market presence, engagement with members. Here, as you know, we have increased our board by 2 seats to allow for more international contribution, more diversity on the board. We now have a North American member since 2 years. And then you will later hear that this extension in diversity will increase. We had the market strategy workshop and survey. So these were all good measures to increase the engagement with our members. For global awareness, I would like to mention again the strong growth in the China focus group, and also the increasing activities in the North American group, which gives us now more visibility in these regions with local people and local events, which makes it easier for people in different regions of the world to engage with DALI. We also have more interaction with other industry bodies dealing with legislation. As mentioned already, there's in DALI a work group or task force on cybersecurity. And earlier in this 2-year time frame, we also had a task force on control gear standby power, which gave important input for regulators in terms of how meaningful rules should be set up, and how we can protect also the DALI investment in these areas. Important focus area, of course, is always promoting the benefits of DALI. There, simplifying the message is very important. And that's why I also was pushing hard on the trademarks and the DALI branding. Sometimes really simplicity is more important than accuracy. My example is always for D4I. Yes, you can use D4I also for 4 luminaires, but it is the intraluminaire brand. So please use it in that way. And there, yeah, we are trying to make this clearer and to improve that. And this will also be written down clearly in the new training materials, which are not net visible to you. That's why I put this in orange here. So it is in delay, but it's also in good progress. On alliances, we are intensifying cooperation with different standardization bodies. You will see that yeah, the ILD, IES, and LAA cooperations have progressed and may become new liaisons, and we have indeed started a new liaison program with talk about city management in the last 2 years. Next slide, please. Yeah, let's move into the category of resources. Key ambition from 23 was increasing technical resources. We have done that partially, but there we are not 100% happy with the current situation. Still, we were able to increase the technical staff work time. We also have increased external technical resources for dedicated tasks. We still do not have the technical resource in China. We had a number of interviews there, but it turned out to be complicated because we have high demand here for this person to have, yeah, be knowledgeable on the technology, but also be, yeah, skillful in communication and mastering, yeah, the Chinese as well as the English language, such that we can well interact with this person. So far we were not successful with the hiring here, so this will still remain a target. For the technical communicator, that did work. Susan, our technical writer, has been hired, and yeah, she helps a lot with the new technical materials. Hiring regional marketing development. Yeah, there I can say that we, as you know, we have a marketing development executive in North America. We actually have 3 staff members in North America right now. Again, here also in China, we are very happy about the very active team we have there in the China marketing group. We still owe the team a dedicated resource, so this is unfortunately still missing. Also in the last decade here, or the last 2 years, General Assembly work cycle, we have increased the external marketing activities with agencies. We have a strong cooperation with Parrot, and that really fuels all our marketing activities. Next slide, please. Yeah, that brings me to the raw number slides here. Yeah, what you can see here on the bottom part is the extreme increase we found in the number of certifications in 23. That's really an outstanding growth from 812 to 1,348. And we were able to maintain that high number almost in 23 and 24. So on the certification side, really incredible development here. Our members are all very engaged, and the certification program is super successful. On the membership side, also there we can still see growth, 18% growth. We are now a really global organization, and we are growing mostly outside, let's say, the European core now, which is good because we want to globalize the organization, and that enables further growth. The strongest growth we observed in the community membership, which is more the luminaire makers. It's still a relatively small group. I think there a lot more growth will be possible in the future. We hope we can also further grow the regular and associate members. And here I also count a little bit on the other regions supporting stronger in the technical activities and marketing activities on a global level. So still strong growth also on the membership and a positive trend throughout these 2 years. Next slide, please. So this is the same data in graphical form. I'm always happy to see that this graph, through the years, in its outer shape always looks similar. It's a continuous growth on both membership and certification. And there's nearly no dip anywhere. It's really continuous growth. And few items and new releases of our product and certification offering explains that growth. So we had the firmware update release in 23. We had the increase in test automation in August 23. We have opened the certification program for DALI Plus in February 24. And more recently, also the feedback devices in December 24. So that's, I believe, the big reason why we see more and more members growing is the completeness of the program increasing in technical terms, but also the strong marketing efforts and undertakings of DALI Alliance. Yeah, so with that slide, with that very nice slide, I would like to close my overview of the accomplishments from the last 2 years. And I will hand over to Jeremy, our marketing head in the group in North America. Jeremy, please.
Great, thank you, Arnulf. Again, thank everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. It's fantastic to see so many people. I see over 100 people on right now, so that's amazing. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jeremy Ludigen. I joined the DALI Alliance a little over a year ago as a global marketing manager when Tim, who many of you know and love, decided to retire. So while he's off soaking up the sun in New Zealand and around the world, I'm here working hard to promote the Alliance in every way I can. And that being said, one of the primary things that I do, can you see my slides here? Oh, here we go.
You're not sharing. There you go.
There.
Okay.
How's that?
Yep.
Great, thank you. Apologize for that. So one of the things I do is I run the promotion working group, or the PWG as we call it. This is in the charter. What we do is we develop the marketing strategies and messaging, promotional themes, anything along those lines. And then we communicate any Alliance activities internally to members, externally to the rest of the world, and any interested parties, any stakeholders within the lighting and controls, building, smart cities industry. More specifically, some of the things we do, we prepare press releases. Anytime you see an article, not anytime, but often when you see an article in a trade publication, we write those articles, or we work with members or other stakeholders to write those. We write white papers. We work on the content for the website, the DALI newsletter, any social media. We develop DALI events. So I'll show you, talk a little bit more. And Arnulf mentioned the North American Summit. We do regular summits in China, looking at doing additional ones throughout the world in the coming months and years. We organize DALI's participation in industry trade shows and conferences. So not just exhibiting, but we'll do sponsorship, we'll do speaking engagements, anything we can do to support those shows and conferences. We run the DALI Lighting Awards program. A lot of this couldn't be done just us, so we do work with external agencies for a lot of these items. And we also work with liaison partners for joint promotion to help promote the DALI Alliance whenever we can with these partners. We hold regular teleconferences, and all regular members are welcome to join. I'm always looking for more people to help out. Let us hear your voice. Let us know how we could be promoting the Alliance bigger and better. In addition to the main PWG, we also have a couple of subgroups, and some of the regional activities that we do are, again, the event planning, promoting DALI within these regions, interaction with the local lighting agency associations. So not just looking at a global scale, but also looking at much more regional associations and standardization bodies. And we try to gather as much information as we can to feed back to the promotion working group to help build our strategy globally. Of the two, the first one is the China focus group. We call it the CFG. We launched this in May of 2021. There's now 16 members within the CFG. All the meetings are conducted in Chinese and regularly updating WeChat on all of their activities. And then in North America, we also have the NAPWG. This launched in January 2022, and we currently have 7 members working with this group. And as mentioned before, please, if you're interested in joining either of these two groups, let me know. We're always looking for more help within the regions or the bigger group. Some of the things we've done over the last couple of years, we've done a handful of press releases. We've done regular newsletters. It's being sent out over 4,700 subscribers. We've been doing lots of blogs, press articles, and the articles have been in your typical lighting magazines, and some starting to get more into the building and facilities type publications. We've been doing multiple podcasts, and then we're also active on LinkedIn and Instagram. LinkedIn, we're now over 5,900 followers. That's up 73% from 2 years ago when we had our last General Assembly. And we also have a DALI, an official group, not just the Alliance LinkedIn page, but we also have a group with 5,400 members. And then on Instagram, we just recently launched this, and we're over 200 followers. So going from 0 to 200 has been a big success for us. And we specifically went after or started using Instagram for the design community. A lot of the lighting designers and people within that community use Instagram regularly. So we're utilizing that to target that community. And on the right side of the screen, you'll just see a few examples of some of the recent articles and newsletters we've done. But that's just a quick snapshot of a few of them. There's been many, many more. Then I mentioned working with external agencies. Parrot PR and Marketing is our primary agency that we work with. They're a typical B2B marketing agency with a very heavy emphasis on lighting. I can't say that they're exclusive to lighting, but it is a huge portion of their business. We've been using them since, at a smaller level for a couple of years now. And then early last year, we brought them on full-time as our primary agency. Some of the things that they do are they help with the blogs, some of the media articles, help write press releases, help with the different promotions, including the awards promotion. They ran a marketing and branding workshop for us back in December. They do most of our graphics creation. They help with events as needed. They do our social media and help with public relations. And then in addition to them, we do utilize other third-party agencies as needed. So sometimes we need help with copywriting or project management or videography, for example, different things like that. So we're utilizing different agencies as needed, trying to make sure that we're taking advantages of everybody's strengths and making sure we have the right resources in the right places. Another thing we've been working on over the last several years are videos and animation. We just recently finalized the DALI Plus and DALI Wireless Gateways videos. These started at Lighten Building in 2024 in Frankfurt, we created touchscreen animation. So if you visited our booth, you could go up to the monitor and you could push on the different demos to go through some of this different animations. So we kind of combine that into a regular standalone video. And this year, 2025, we'll also be working on an emergency video. We'll be working on the dynamic color and color tuning video, and also an integration video to, show how you can integrate DALI into other building management type systems. And in addition to that, we're also utilizing an AI generated or an AI tool called Synthesis. This basically, you can upload a PDF or any kind of a file into this software, and it'll create a standalone video based on that. Very simple tool, and just we're leveraging this to create more videos. So Arnulf mentioned that we're doing more training tools. So we're currently in the process of developing a lot of reference guides and different training tools for different people within, different stakeholders within the industry. And so it'll be easy to take those PDFs as we do them, load it into this program, and create a video. It creates a very consistent and professional delivery. It's very easy to create it in different languages now. So with a click of a button, we can now launch these in Chinese, German, French, Portuguese, Spanish, you name it. And we're just at the beginning stages of using this tool. So you'll see more and more coming out, and we'll be doing a lot more beta testing to make sure that the languages are, consistent with how they should be with, technical terms and things like that. But it does improve the education awareness for DALI technologies. And just to give you a quick sneak peek, if you haven't seen this white paper, this is a white paper on the bottom right that we launched a couple years ago on sustainability within DALI. So what I basically did is I took this document and loaded it into Synthesia to create this video. So I'll run it for you real quick just to show you how easy it is. And there was very little editing done on my part for this. I changed a couple pronunciations. I need to change a couple more pronunciations. I'd like to update a couple more graphics, but other than that, this has been completely within this AI tool. So I'll run it for you real quick just to give you an idea of what this tool can do.
Did you know that lighting accounts for 15% of global electricity consumption? That's a staggering figure, highlighting the urgent need for sustainable solutions. Let's explore how innovative lighting can reduce energy use and support a circular economy. Sustainable lighting isn't just about saving energy. It's about creating a future-proof system. By integrating DALI technology, we can enhance sustainability through efficient control systems, paving the way for smarter, greener lighting solutions. DALI's global standardization ensures long-term compatibility and flexibility. This means your lighting systems can evolve without being tied to a single vendor, thanks to DALI 2 certification supporting interoperable products. Zaga D4i connectors are game changers, enabling easy upgrades and replacements. This extends the life of luminaires, ensuring your investment is protected while keeping pace with technological advancements. DALI Plus integrates wireless capabilities, offering unparalleled flexibility and scalability. Imagine a system that adapts to your needs, optimizing energy use with automated sensors that reduce costs and enhance efficiency. Daylight harvesting and occupancy sensors are key to energy efficiency. By adjusting lighting based on natural light and occupancy, these systems ensure optimal energy use, reducing waste and promoting sustainability. Manchester Airport's use of DALI for energy-efficient lighting control is a testament to its effectiveness. Similarly, Kuna Plush Nagel logistics hubs employ DALI for predictive maintenance, showcasing real-world impact. The University of Warwick utilizes DALI 2 for energy monitoring, significantly reducing its carbon footprint. These examples highlight DALI's role in creating sustainable, future-proof lighting solutions worldwide.
Great. Yeah, as I mentioned, I've only spent about 5 minutes on this video, so I think it's going to be an amazing tool for us moving forward in the future. Additionally, we're continuing to work on different trade shows, building momentum here. 2023 and 2024, we had a full schedule throughout China, USA, Middle East, and Europe of various trade shows. And then in 2025, we're going to add additional markets. So looking at other international events for potential sponsorships, any kind of speaking opportunities we can do. Look at if there makes sense for us to exhibit at these shows in the future. And when I say additional markets, I mean two things. One is the territory. So we're looking at different shows in South America, Southeast Asia, Oceania, India, and then we're also looking at potential new markets in terms of the value chain. So looking at different builder shows, building owners, facility managers, different things like that. And just point of reference, this was our building, or this was our trade show, our booth at Lighten Building 2024 last year. It was a large booth. We shared it with 7 members, kind of co-exhibited with us there. And so each one of the co-exhibitors, each one of our members had their own little dedicated space with branding and demos and things like that. And we'll repeat this format in 2026, maybe even look at expanding it to make it larger. And then we're going to start using this format in other global shows. So for example, Light Fair coming up later this year, we'll be doing a similar format where we'll have members on our booth with us co-exhibiting. So stay tuned for more information on that. And then this is just a quick snapshot of some of the trade shows we've done over the last couple of years in China, North America, Europe, Middle East. I'm not going to go through the full list, and this isn't even everything. These are just some of the larger ones, and I'm sure there's plenty that I didn't list on here, but it's definitely keeping us busy, all the different shows we're doing throughout the world. And as I mentioned, the CFG, the China Focus Group, and the North American PWG are definitely instrumental in helping us plan for those regional shows, and the PWG for the rest of the world are more than critical in making sure all these turn out with a great success. And when I list these events, these aren't just trade shows where we have booths. Some of them are speaking, doing presentations, doing panels, doing hands-on demonstrations, you name it. We're very active in multiple ways in multiple shows. And then also, as Arnulf mentioned, last year we kicked off the very first inaugural DALI North America Summit. This was an amazing event that exceeded all my expectations. It was a sold-out summit. It was a full day of DALI 2 training, DALI 4 training. We had multiple breakout sessions. We had some hands-on sessions. We had a couple panels. The very first panel that we kicked off the day was some end users. So some of the facilities guys that would use DALI, getting their perspective on the industry. And then we wrapped it up with the DALI leadership panel, where we had members of our regular, we had individuals from our regular members up on stage, and Paul, our general manager, opened it up to the floor to ask any questions they wanted to. So it was, we're trying to be as transparent as possible, and so we encourage them to ask all the hard questions, and there were some hard questions, and I think it ended up being an amazing day. If you didn't make it, we'll be doing more stuff like this, maybe not this exact type format, but we're planning other events like this. And just a quick side note, there were 7 countries attended, people from 7 countries attended this. It wasn't just the North American, it ended up not just being a North American show. It was a pretty much a global show. And then another thing I'm working on are liaisons. You let's talk about liaisons a lot. It definitely helps to have good friends to help us promote DALI. So some of the ones I'm working with, I work with Zaga regularly, promoting Zaga D4i, working with Thread for DALI Plus, working with the Bluetooth SIG on the Bluetooth gateways. And then recently, if you didn't see the press releases and other announcements, we started a 3-way liaison with Talk and Zaga, promoting smart street lighting and smart, for smart cities. And then we're also working with the LCA, educating specifically, mostly North America on lighting controls, but not exclusively North America, but heavily North America on lighting controls. And then we're also finalizing a couple relationships with the IES and the IALD and other promotional things to kick off some liaison opportunities with those two guys as well. And then finally, another thing we work on in the PWG in the marketing group are the DALI Lighting Awards. So this started in 2020. Last year, I'll start off by saying that over the years, we've always kicked off the awards 1 year, and then the new year is when we announce the awards. So it's always kind of a year off. So this year, we're going to kind of reset that. And this year, we're going to call it the 2024-2025 awards, so that next year we can just call it the 26 awards, so that we can get it back in sync with the year that it's actually being awarded on. But last year we had 8 categories and different applications, panel of international judges. And this year we're going to kind of change a little bit and do more of a focus on technologies. We're still going to have some application awards, but we're going to do a lot more emphasis on the technology. So stay tuned for the results of those coming up here shortly within the next month or so. And that wraps it up for me. So I appreciate everybody's time, and I look forward to working with you. And I'll turn it over to Scott and Ronald to talk about the technical things.
Okay, thanks very much, Jeremy. It's just me today, not Ronald. So I'm going to give an overview of the Technical and Certification Work Group, including our activities since the previous General Assembly. Now, please remember to use the Q&A box if you want to ask anything. We will be answering at the end of the webinar, and anything we don't manage to answer, we'll collect the questions and reply to them afterwards. Okay, so the T&C work group, Technical and Certification Work Group, our charter is to work on the new specifications and maintain the existing specifications, so standards. And from those, we develop the tests and the certification program. And we're very much volunteer-based. The T&C work group meets every 2 weeks by WebEx, and we alternate between the morning and afternoons. So we accommodate the different regions where we can. And we have dedicated subgroups for particular work items. In these subgroups, the volunteers, some of them author, they review, and we maintain the specifications and the tests. Of course, without volunteers from our members, progress would be very slow. So if you're interested in helping or joining any subgroup, just please contact us. And currently, volunteers contribute to the following subgroups. So just some of them are listed: the gateways, parts 341 and 342, DALI Plus, emergency control gear, track systems and repeaters, control devices, cyber security, a new one that's just started, solar lighting, control gear for solar powered lighting. And when needed, we run other subgroups, including part 35 or D4I, which includes part 351 and 25X, and color control, part 209. So I'm going to give you here an overview of what we said was in the plan at the time of the last GA and how we've done for each of these projects or items. So this page lists what we presented last time, and part 105 was the firmware update, and that was already released in the tests a year ago. So that's included in certification now. Part 151, the tests aren't developed for that, but we have published the specification. And actually it led on to another part, another specification that you'll see in another slide or two, some unplanned work. Part 104, DALI Plus, that was launched almost exactly a year ago now. The gateways, we haven't finished the tests for those. They're nearing the end, and we've had some pauses in that due to volunteer availability, but we have got the volunteers verifying the tests now, so we expect to release quite soon actually. So both of those parts will be in the next release. For both parts 102 and 103, we've been automating the test sequences, and gradually we've automated more and more of the tests until the situation today is that pretty much everything that can be automated is automated. And actually part 101 automation as well for bus power supplies is now included. Part 209, we added tests for XY color accuracy, and that uses the color meter if you have that available. So that's also automated. In December last year, we added part 332, the feedback part for control devices. What we haven't managed to do is work on the tests for part 220, just purely because of a lack of volunteers for that. So we've had to postpone that now until sufficient volunteers step up to this. That's centrally supplied emergency control gear. For part 202 edition 2, we have gone quite far with that. It's in progress right now, and part 254 will follow on straight afterwards. That's the memory banks for emergency control gear. For parts 102 and 103, we're updating the tests for the new editions. So for 102, we've already implemented those in the current beta version, but for 103, we have insufficient volunteers just now. So we'll be skipping or postponing 103 for now, so that won't be in the next release, but part 102 updates will be in the next release. 306 general purpose sensor, that's going well. It won't be in the next release, but we have several volunteers verifying tests at the moment. So that'll be in the release after that, I would expect. And we did phase out Probit Lab 2. That's now a year ago that was phased out. So that was the tests and certification. Now for specifications, we did publish an update to the Quick Start Guide. So a new version of that was published in 2023. The diagnostic tool, interest from that waned a bit, and we postponed it until quite recently. And we've now decided to proceed on that again. So this year we expect to publish a set of requirements for diagnostic tools which will allow trademark use on the tools. And there will be a web page as well. So we're going to pick that up again quite soon. Part 254, the specification has already been released, so that's available for all members from the website. Just log in to download that from the general documents page. Also part 151, the surge protection device, that specification was completed and published, also on the same web page. And for the various guides, that has all been passed across to the promotion working group. And as Arnulf mentioned earlier, we have a technical communicator now, Susan, who has picked up the workload for all of the guides that will be made public. Now, some other items in terms of specifications that were not in the plan we presented in 2023, but that we have done, actually completed. All of these parts, so quite a few parts you can see listed here, are now published by IEC. So these originated mostly as DIiA specifications, and we worked on all of those to push them through the IEC process. And they have all been published in the last 2 years. Part 105, the firmware update part, firmware transfer, we got a new edition published through IEC just last year. So that's edition 2. These 3 parts are input device instances, so switches, occupancy sensors, and light sensors. And we have published amendments through IEC, so amendments to the current editions. These ones, 152, 153, 154, these are new publications from DALI Alliance. So 152 wasn't planned, but it was a kind of spin-off from the SPD surge protection devices. So its robustness, Then 153 is the repeater, and 154 is the isolator option for repeaters. And a research project that we ran actually last summer for 3 months. It's on a new physical layer, or research into a different physical layer for DALI, so higher speed communications over 2 wires still. So we initiated some research there, and we employed a student for 3 months from Imperial College University London to look at that. So that was the early part of research. And liaisons with technical involvement. So ANSI, Bluetooth SIG, CSA for Zigbee, IEC, TALK, Thread, and Zaga. So quite a lot on the technical side. And we also ran some plug fests. So in 2023, March 2023, almost 2 years ago, we held an all-member plug fest in Dornbirn, Austria. And then in the same year, October 23, we had the first DALI Plus Wireless Unplug Fest. That was for the subgroup members. Then last year, in April, we had an all-member China Plug Fest in Hangzhou in China. First one we've held there for all members. And then in June, we had a TNC Workgroup Plug Fest in Lüdenscheid, Germany. And we had one new accredited test house. That was the end of 23, so just over a year ago, and that's Elikon Energy Systems in Ankara, Turkey. So that's the latest test house, bringing the total to 12. Technical training was carried out in China, both in 2023 in Shanghai, and also again in 2024 in Hangzhou. And other technical training, technical training, just as a reminder, is for R&D developers and test engineers especially. I have been recording, especially last year, I recorded the first 3 sections. These are the sections: key facts and benefits, the basics, and testing and certification. But there's still quite a lot to do. There was, or has been, a bit of a pause since around April last year, but I plan to get back to that this year. So that there are a lot more detailed sections still to record, maybe about 200 slides still to record. The slides are ready, just the recording hasn't been done. And it includes details on D4I, testing, test automation, and details on the different parts of the standard, the 1XX, 2XX, and the 3XX parts. Okay, so that's everything on what we said and what we did against the plan since the last GA, and I'll come back later for an update on what the plan going forward is, but for now I hand back to Paul.
Thanks very much, Scott, and Jeremy, of course. So this is the end of the backward-looking section, and the first thing I'm going to do is share with you some financial performance information over the last 2 years. So here I share with you the income that we budgeted in 2023 and 2024, and the actual income. And you can see that that we've been quite successful. We've exceeded the income budgeting. As we're a not-for-profit, we don't make a profit, but as we grow our cash reserves, then we're able then to allocate additional strategic spending, as we call it, on future things, and you'll see more of that in the future-looking budget. So here you can see the different income that we received by member type, and also the income associated with licensed credits. So that's the certification credits required. And then, and I think those are all self-explanatory. And the additional income you see is that it has two components essentially. Firstly, we have some cash reserves, so we invested them in a higher interest account. So we received some interest on those funds, and then, which is what we budgeted for in 2024. And then there was also some additional income that was associated with events that we did, so sponsorship and such like. In particular, the North America Summit, which was not budgeted, and that's accounted for there. So as you can see, very healthy income performance, and then expenditure performance. And this depends on whether you're a half full or half empty kind of person. But I think it's quite good that we budget optimistically, and this theme will come back again later. So we budget for the worst case of everything we can think of that we would like to spend in a particular year, and that means that that obviously sometimes we can struggle to hit those targets. In particular, you'll see the technical area, technical work group, TCWG, and the reality is there that that the spend is really down to the way that the volunteers in our organization, put the effort in. So we thank those that are very well engaged and working in the work groups, but as ever, the call to action is please join the work groups and help us accelerate these programs and spend the money. The money is there in the budget, so we can spend it. But we can only go as fast as the activities will allow. So you can see that over the years we've increased and continue to increase the expenditure on ISTO. That's our umbrella organization. What we spend with them for administrative activities, and it's quite variable, so it's difficult to budget for. The staff is continually increasing as we invest more in more activities and more things to do, and more staff, of course, and more travel. Indeed, travel is included, and other expenses are included in those. And then the Marcom, we try to regionally allocate a notional budget that's balanced across the regions. And you can see actually that expenditure-wise, we're pretty close to spending that. Most of these things are fairly self-explanatory. I'll just talk about the legal. Obviously, we budgeted quite a high amount in 2024 and then did not spend it. And one of the reasons behind that is some of the things that we were doing, we anticipated could cost a lot of money, and actually they went better than expected and didn't cost as much. So it's better to have the money in the budget and allocate that we could cover it if necessary. And you'll see that when we look forward in the next budget period that we balance that out. So I'm not going to go through all of these in great detail. I'll just talk about a little bit about the strategic spend. As I mentioned, we have some cash reserves which we have a plan to deplete somewhat to allow us to spend on future activities. The underspend there is actually because some of it gets shifted into other categories. So when we decide to strategically hire new staff, for example, then the staff get accounted for in actuality in the staff budget. So that can be the reason why. And also, as Arnulf mentioned, we did not complete all of the hiring activity that we want to do. So some of that's ongoing. That's the expenditure part and the finances, and from the last General Assembly until now. Now we come to a very important part of the proceedings, which is the release of the current board of directors. So I will formally do that. The current board is, as you see here, listed. These are the current members. And as my last action for this section, I will formally release that board. So bye-bye, board members. Thank you very much for your service. We appreciate it. And then immediately we come to the next section, which is actually the formal election of the new board of directors, because we can't function without them. And I'm very happy to remind you, you should have seen the pack that went out, the information pack that went out about a week ago, that actually all of the current board member companies have re-nominated. So I'm very glad that we will maintain consistency and the wealth of experience that our board have. And the board have decided, based on the input from the regions and additional nominations, that we would like to further extend the number of board seats to accommodate some new board members and expand our regionality. So, and I sent the information pack out, as I mentioned, prior to this meeting. I hope you've all had a good look at it. I hope you're looking at this list now. I am not going to go through in detail and read out every biography of every board nominee, because, as I mentioned, I did send those out, and you will see those in the packs if you want to go in deep. But the number of seats matches the number of board members that have been nominated, so that's that 13, and you will be voting momentarily to accept those nominees, some of which I believe are in the call. I'm sure I saw Stephen on the call earlier, and unfortunately we didn't get pictures for everybody. So this is the formal part. The nominees were received during the agreed period in accordance with the DIiA Charter. The new board will be formally elected by the General Assembly. So I would ask you to vote to accept these 13 nominees to the newly formed 13 number of seats on the board of directors. Jeremy, if you could open the voting session now, and I remind you. So there'll be a vote either appearing on the screen, or it'll give you a prompt, depending on what kind of device you're on. And if you click a button, it will open a little panel that will let you vote. And you are essentially voting, either you approve the 13 nominees to the 13 seats, or you do not. So hopefully you agree that we would like to appoint this board and all of the nominees. So please vote now. One vote per member organization. So again, I remind you that I would like you to have agreed who is going to do the voting on your account. If you logged in with your organization email, then we will check afterwards to double check if there are any duplicates or any erroneous kind of voting, and filter that out. And I will give a minute or so for you to complete that voting process. I don't see the progress, Jeremy, so I'm not sure if you can see when a substantial number of
So far we're at 51 votes.
Okay, I mean that's
And it's
probably a good representation of the companies that are on the board. So yeah, let's give it another 30 seconds or so. I'll just go back up one slide just in case anyone needs a reminder of who they're voting for. This is the list of nominees. So and again, I remind you, one vote per member organization, and you are voting either to approve this list of nominees to the 13 board seats, or if you If you don't agree with that for some reason, then you can hit no, I do not approve. All right, I'm going to say that that's the final call. Yep, good. I can see that the voting is closed. I can see 100% votes in favor. So thank you very much, everybody, for voting. Then you have ratified that list of nominees, and I would like to formally welcome all of the board members to the executive board of the DALI Alliance. All right. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Don't go away now, because there's more to come about future-looking stuff. And then at the very end, we will have a vote for the General Assembly to ratify the budget. So please don't sneak off in the next section. Okay. Now we're gonna look forward, as I mentioned in this section, to the future-looking activities. Before we do that, I'm just going to give you a reminder. Some of you may recognize the bones of this slide from the previous General Assembly. It's very similar, because actually the reality is what drives us forward doesn't change an awful lot. Our strategy didn't change hugely over such a period, as you would imagine. So what moves us, what drives us, what inspires us? The industry market trends, things such as interoperability, standardization, of course, wireless controls, standardization and certification. And I remind you of that increased CAGR, which we'll be referencing again, relating to wireless, that's predicted by the analysts. So IoT, data, sensing, standardizing wireless lighting controls, lighting for well-being and comfort, energy saving, sustainability. And what else drives us is, of course, the member inputs, whether that's in the work groups, the promotion working group that Jeremy has mentioned, or the technical groups that Scott has highlighted. And in addition, hopefully you've all seen and participated in the member survey that we sent around recently, and there will be more of those. And of course, events, interaction, questions and answers. We take everything on board and listen to both our members and the wider industry as much as possible. As Arnulf highlighted, of course, legislation drives us and moves us forward, and the way that we work with industry organizations and alliances, so our partnerships with other organizations is key to helping us move forward. So our objectives then, I'll remind you, we're an open global consortium aiming to grow the market for solutions based on DALI. We want to extend and grow the certification programs to ensure significantly improved interoperability, offer brand protection through market surveillance, which is ongoing. And as I've also mentioned, begin the planning of a phase out, potentially, of DALI version 1 registered products. And that will be, in deep consultation with our members. We're not going to jump into that without listening to the requirements of our members and taking it very, very carefully. We'll provide value to our members, we hope, via specifications and certification programs, the trademark use, of course, and promotion of DALI globally, including promotion in the new territories, in particular, as highlighted by Jeremy. And then promotion of the value of DALI to sustainability, standardized certification programs for wired and wireless options, and indeed, the mix of those, so hybrid. Participation with opportunities to influence and contribute to our technical roadmaps, and representing the members' industry interests in new legislation and industry guidance. So to do all of those things, we need to make some investments, and the investments that we plan to make are, again, to continue the investment in the certification rollout for interoperability. That remains the highest priority, of course. That means investment in the technical work for new specifications, certifications, plug fests, investment in staff and external contractors to continue to grow that. And a reminder that we depend on regular member volunteers in our work groups to help us. We also agree to invest in increased marketing activities. So that means increasing our online, virtual, and social media presence. We have an ongoing program to redevelop the website. I can hear many of you cheering, virtually at least, because you're all on mute. But I think we all agree that our website, for external users, for the members, I think it's probably okay. But for anyone new to DALI or wanting to experience the delights of DALI-based lighting controls, our website needs some improvement. So we're going to invest in that. Investing in the agency provision for PR and other marketing support, creating materials supporting the industry, such as user guides, and I have a slide on that in just a moment, the white papers and other things that we might need. Investing in events and activities to accelerate adoption in lower share countries, so that expanded territorial remit. And then investment in trademark and legal, so we continue to increase our trademark compliance activity. You can see that, or you will see that the plan is to increase our legal spend accordingly, and increasing the certification-focused trademark activities. So those things go hand in hand, obviously. And then, in particular, highlighting wireless. I said I would refer back to it, and here we are in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You see that little data point from the market analyst report that highlights that the AGR of over 18% expected over the forecast period. That's the next 5 years, which is in contrast to the roughly 15.5% CAGR expected as a whole. So wireless is expected to have a significantly higher growth rate over that period. So, and as highlighted by Jeremy and Scott, indeed, we continue to invest in these wireless activities. So the wireless to DALI gateways, standardizing the interface between other systems, ecosystems, and wired DALI. And currently those are Zigbee and Bluetooth, which are parts 341 and 342. Yeah, and I already mentioned about the increased CAGR, and we continue to invest in DALI Plus. So that's the globally standardized wireless IP-based lighting controls. It's the DALI that you know and love, but without the traditional two-wire bus, and it should enable the easy specification of DALI, use wireless, wired, and IP-based in combination as required by the application. That's the goal. And there is no translation. They all talk DALI, and it's a DALI system that we know and love. To go a little bit deeper into the market presence then. So I mentioned engage with members and the wider lighting community. So that means a member survey. It means the industry partnerships that you'll see on subsequent slides, and that we already put in place as well, but we want to invest further. More market strategy group workshops, so it's good to refresh and align our thoughts on the market strategy, and also keep abreast of new developments or new trends in the marketplace. We're investing in global awareness. So we continue to focus very heavily on China and North America. They are our biggest growth areas, but also, as I mentioned, expand to those new countries. Represent the member interests for these formation of task forces, for example, for cybersecurity, new liaisons, and the training and education, which will be a big focus of our investment, and promote the benefits of DALI. So that simplified messaging that Arnulf was talking about earlier, make DALI easier to work with, explaining wired and wireless DALI options, case studies, including award highlights, but also just generally case studies. We're building up a nice portfolio of those on our website now. Participation at more industry events, sustainability, and Jeremy showed you the video, for example, and that was based on the white paper, and education and training partners. So, a big amount of our investment is on education and training. And to do that, we'll need some alliances. So these are the current, or a snapshot of a few of the current liaisons and cooperations that we have today. And we plan to do more with these organizations, but these are the ones that we already have liaisons in place with. And then these are the targets for 2025 and beyond, of course, to partner formally with the likes of the IES, the IALD, and the LIA, and that would be for education and training purposes in particular. And then we thought about other targets could be potentially on the horizon for BACnet and KNX, but let's see what develops with those partners. And of course, we need, particularly for liaison partnerships, the support of our members and where appropriate, co-members, so joint members of both organizations. Finally, strategic actions are on resources. So increasing the technical resources we talked about, third-party resources, additional to the technical team, so adding that technical support, Chinese speaking, most likely based in China in particular, to support the members that are based there. Increase the marketing resources. So we have already increased the global marketing resource. We probably need to increase further our agency support, and that's where the additional agencies that Jeremy mentioned come into play, as well as expanding our relationship with Parrot. Increase the the partnerships and liaisons, which I showed you on the previous slide, and also investments in third-party market research data. So the reports that I've been referencing throughout this presentation, we're going to continue to invest in those, and indeed we've targeted 2 reports that we're investing in during this year, maybe more, who knows, and an increased focus on education and training. So the creation of source materials, which are manufacturer agnostic, aligned with local expertise that will be ideally from the persona groups that we're targeting. Accreditation of partners who will then be able to deliver those materials locally or regionally to them, independently of us, but supported by us with materials and some kind of a certification program, which we will expand out when we finalize the details of that. And the plan there, of course, is to have certification of participants. So I mentioned quite a lot, and it's been mentioned throughout this presentation, education, training, and guidance. And this is just a snapshot, a brief overview of most of the things that we're working on. It's not everything in detail, because that's a very large spreadsheet, but I just wanted to give you a flavor of the things that are in progress right now. In fact, the top half of this list is already in progress and well underway. and I would say most of it's actually near to completion, although obviously, again, we're dependent on a lot of volunteers for our resource there. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a good flavor of, there's a lot of materials. We're really investing heavily in this activity over the coming years. So call to action to our members. A few things that have come out of recent activities. So increased product availability in North America. There is, if you look on the database and you select the regional filter, you can see that there is quite some products in North America, and there are projects happening there. So there obviously is product availability, but in comparison to the global availability of DALI products, that could be improved. So that's a shout out to our members to work on that and to focus on that. It would be nice to have an increase in that. Please join the technical work groups. For the technical work groups and the promotion working group, you need to be a regular member. So we hope that might encourage people to upgrade, and which you can do at any time, by the way, and join and participate and get more involved. Join the plug fests. So we have all member plug fests coming up, and we're also thinking about doing an all member plug fest stroke member training in North America. That's why there's a question mark there. If you'd like to be involved in that, please reach out and tell us, and we'll take the input seriously, and if it's viable, then we'll try and make that happen. And then they're already planned and definite all member plug fest in Luxembourg, for example, and possibly another one in July 2025. So that's to be confirmed. And please join the PWG, the Promotion Working Group, the CFG, which is the China Focus Group, and the NAPWG, the North America Promotion Working Group. Please get involved in those with your organizations and really help us to drive the activity there. And that will support the regional activities, of course. The other thing is, please encourage your customer base to become, if they are eligible, of course, a community member. It's necessary for trademark. I'd like to remind you that membership is necessary for use of the trademarks, and the trademarks include the words and the logos. So even just to promote a luminaire as a DALI luminaire, you must be a member. And community membership is free of charge. So please encourage your downstream customers to take up that opportunity to grow that community membership base. Be aware of cybersecurity implications and the advice which is soon to be published. We're hoping to create some tender text alongside the user guides, and it would be great if you get involved in that activity in our promotion working group. The training and education programs, if you've got an interest in that, again, please step up, get involved, and join the relevant groups. And then finally, just a call to, if you haven't already, I would think most of the people on this call must be active in our newsletter, because otherwise you probably wouldn't have got notification. But in case you haven't, or in case there are others in your organization, encourage them to sign up for the newsletter. That's simply on the sign up page. It's on the public website, and you can just go and sign up and receive all of the information about the DALI Alliance. That's my forward-looking bit. I'll hand back to Scott for the next section on the technical roadmap. Scott?
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the roadmap for the T&C, and starting with the test sequences and certification. So you can see quite a large table here listing the priorities from 1, the highest priority, down to 4 at the bottom of this. I'm not going to go through all of these, but these are all test sequences that we plan to develop. those at the top, priority ones, are, I think, all in progress already if I have a look at those. So some of them are going to be in the next release, the gateways. 202 edition 2 will be in a later release. 104 bridge, that's for DALI Plus, is in the upcoming release. And 306 will be a later release this year. And then these are also in progress, actually, the repeater tests. We've got some of those tests implemented, not all of them yet. And mentioned earlier, the 102, the control gear edition 3 updates, tests for those are in progress already. So volunteers are already trying these out in our beta versions. So if you join the TNC work group, then you can also get access to the beta versions and try out the software, the tests, before it's ready for release. We've also added a Probit Bench developer mode. A few of you have asked for this. This will be in the next release. And what it does, it allows you, especially when you're developing your products or testing someone else's, it allows you to run the preamble test. And even if it fails, it allows you to proceed to the remaining tests. Whereas today, you have to actually pass the preamble before you can proceed to the following tests. So of course, you can't use the results for certification, but it's useful for either development or just checks of maybe some old products from the market. Other priorities are shown there and mostly haven't started. Some of them will be in progress, but you can see a number of these require volunteers. So we don't have sufficient volunteers earmarked for all of these yet. So please volunteer if you want to see these projects proceed. Now, the way it works in the TNC is that the board gives us guidance on the work program. The TNC work group determines the priorities that you can see here based on availability of volunteers. So it's members that have to volunteer to make this happen. And of course, they help write the tests or write the specifications or just review the tests and specifications. And once we've got this plan, the roadmap, the board then approves it. So just to go on and look at further test sequences and certification, we've got several other projects that we haven't yet prioritized, mostly because we haven't got sufficient volunteers or where specifications aren't yet ready. So you can see a lot of these are for part 104 for DALI Plus. We've also got a new gateway here, Matter Gateway, and additional features for an existing set of tests, part 303. So instead of movement sensors that we have today for occupancy, some members have asked for presence sensor support. This one here, part 225, is worth mentioning. This is for adaptive emergency escape lighting systems. And we're actually quite far through the specification for that. The specification is going through IEC, but is just about to go to the CDV stage. We're just in the final stages of drafting the CDV. So technically it's looking quite good now. So maybe by the summer this year, we'll have a technical specification that will be stable, then allowing us to develop tests based on that. Also, further steps for the gateways. So once we get the first step released, we'll look at further steps, including individual control of the control gear, so addressing and individual control, color control, and emergency lighting control and feedback. And various other updates, new editions of 207 and 209, and any test automation that's left. There's not much left, to be honest. It's mostly covered by 101, 102, and 103. Then the DALI Plus, we're looking to add TCAT. So that's a commissioning method for thread devices and also allows a tool, for example, to access the thread network through one device, but then access other devices in the thread network, so other DALI Plus devices. So that's quite interesting. A lot of work on the specification side as well to be done. So again, it's prioritized from 1 to 5, but also some haven't yet been prioritized. And actually the very bottom one is already in progress. I'll just go through some that I've marked in bold. 225, the adaptive emergency I mentioned already. The website recommended terms, we just published that about a week ago. So that's on the website already. Look on the About menu, and this is in the public area, not the members area. So in the public area, go to the About menu, and you'll see a new item called Recommended Terms. So have a look at that. Send us your comments, if any. Also, the diagnostics tool that I mentioned earlier, that's going to proceed. So we'll create a set of requirements for those and add to the trademark rules. Part 351, that's the luminaire mounted control devices part, already published by DIiA. That's going through IEC just now. It's in the final stages in IEC, but also we've just agreed and already submitted in the IEC draft, we've agreed to add some new features for auto detection and enablement of power supplies. So that's both the bus power supply and now allowing, or will allow, an auxiliary power supply to be built into those for certain applications that can make sense. And also just started recently a new subgroup for solar and battery powered control gear. So for outdoor lighting, obviously, at the moment. Lots of other items here that I won't go through, but you can have a look at that later. Remember, this whole webinar will be published on the website. But if you have any questions, just pop them into the Q&A box. And liaisons, of course, we will continue with the liaisons. These are all technical liaisons, liaisons where we have technical collaboration. So IEC is the major one, but also with ANSI, C137, with TALK, which started fairly recently. Zaga continues. So those two, especially for outdoor lighting. Bluetooth, SIG, that liaison continues. CSA for Zigbee, and Thread, of course, for DALI+. And test houses. So this is the list of test houses that we have. Now, we don't plan to add more. We accept the requests from members when they want to become a test house. Then we provide the training and the accreditation. We already have 12 covering all of the major regions just now. So it's pretty good. But if members are interested, then please let us know. Plugfests. We will continue with the Plugfests both for all members and for T&C workgroup members. So the next all-member one is actually the very next one coming up. That's the 1st and 2nd of April, being held in Luxembourg. You should have seen the email maybe a month or so ago, and a few of you have already contacted me to let us know or to reserve your places. We allow 2 places per member company. We may allow a 3rd place depending on availability. So if you really want a 3rd person, let me know and we'll put you on the provisional list for a 3rd person. And book your hotel, remember, that's coming up quite soon actually now, just a month and a bit. I will be sending another email probably today or tomorrow with a spreadsheet asking you to list out which days you'll be attending and what products and the features of those products that you plan to bring. You can change your mind beforehand, but it's just to give us an idea of what tests can be executed during the Plugfest. Now for this Luxembourg Plugfest, these are the areas we hope to concentrate on. So 306, the general purpose sensor, 202 edition 2, control gear for self-contained emergency, 341, 342 gateways, that's Bluetooth SIG and or Bluetooth mesh and the Zigbee gateways, and DALI+, and especially bridges. Also repeaters, and we'll demonstrate new tests, including automation, and the new tests for 102 edition 3, so including the power on delay tests, and 332, which is feedback, already released, and we hope to, I expect we will have some of those actually, input devices with those, and application controllers that can configure and make use of those. So please contact contact us if you would like to attend. Okay, so that's everything from me. So back to Paul.
Thanks very much, Scott. Let's put it back in presentation mode. Yeah, thank you, Scott. So I'm just conscious of time and we need to get to a vote. So I'm going to zip through these last couple of slides so that we can get to the Q&A session as well. So first one is the income budget for 2025. And you can see there that there are small increases planned for each of the budget areas. As usual, we plan to be quite conservative with our budget, income budget projections. And if you look at the total number at the bottom there, you'll see that although the budget is going up versus actual, it looks like it's going down, but that's the main element of that is the actually the additional income element from last year. So again, I just remind you that this is a conservative budget for income, and then on the expenditure side, we go the opposite direction. So we look at worst case, best case, depending on your perspective on things. I'm not going to go through this in absolute detail. I've put there the percentage increase versus the previous budget to give you an indicator of where the increases or decreases, in fact, in some cases, happen. So obviously, we continue to increase our members. So the membership budget needs to go up accordingly. We get charged per member, and that includes community members as well, actually. And the investment in staff, the significant increase in Marcom investment, as you see there. Face-to-face meetings is just for the various meetings that we have planned around the times, and possibly if there'll be a contribution to a summit if we do one in North America again. The legal will decrease slightly from last year's budget, but actually, if we achieve that, it will be an increase on the actual spend from last year. As I mentioned, some things were just less expensive, but it's important that we have a substantial legal budget. Website, we think we're going to cover that, being as we didn't usually spend in previous years the full amount. But there's a healthy budget in there, and let's see what the proposal for the redevelopment is going to cost us. And the technical work group budget, as you can see, has decreased very slightly, but ideally with an element of realism of how much we can actually spend in a year, according to the activities. There's a new category for training, which is obviously 100% increase on previous years. That is part of our strategic spend, as we call it. And then there you will see, in addition to the 100K for training, we also had 100K for strategic spend. That would be additional training, AI tools, market data, the things that we haven't yet catered for in terms of the expansion of the educational materials, for example. So that's we plan to have a contingency, if you will, but it's more of a contingency because we do hope to spend that, and I expect that we will. So that all results in a significant increase in budget from 2024. Here I'll just explain again that our income versus expenditure over the next 5 years means that we increase our strategic spend, adding resources, training, education, and expanded activities. That means that the delta versus revenue, if we maintain that differential, we can continue for at least another 3 and a bit years until we reach our minimum defined reserve, which is actually 1 year's worth of expenditure. So that means that barring global events or something like that, but we don't have any current plans or need to increase our membership fees, which have never increased actually since the organization as it is today was founded some 8 years ago approximately. And again, if we continue to grow, we can spend more, we can extend the periods of strategic spend, or indeed we can spend more. And if we don't grow, we don't need to panic. We can simply reassess the spending probably at the next General Assembly. And yeah, so just a note that the income budget is cautious, the expenditure budget is optimistic. That gives us a worst case scenario and a best case scenario. So with that in mind, I'd like to open the voting again for you, everyone to vote. This is an important decision because we need the General Assembly to ratify the records of the last 2 years and the expenditure. So again, if you can look on your device, whatever you're on, and there'll be a prompt to open Slido, I think it's called, which will take you into the voting process again. Please do that now. Please vote to approve this, the financial information that was put forward to you, and to approve the budget for 2025 as has been presented. And I hope that you will all agree that it's a fantastic forward-looking budget. And I'll stop waffling for a minute while you get the votes in. I think we had around 50-something votes last time, roughly half the people that were on the call. I see we've lost a few along the way. But I also see that the votes are increasing a little bit. So just to ensure we've got time for Q&A, I think just give you the last 10 seconds to cast your vote. If you haven't done so already, please follow the prompt that's on your device and go through and complete the voting. You either approve or you don't. It's there's no in between. All right, I think that's enough. Jeremy, have we captured that? Fantastic. Okay, and I can see 100% approval. So thank you very much for approving those the financial records and the budget. That's the end of that part of the presentation. There was no AOB, so it's just we've got a few minutes. I see we have had a few questions come through. Jeremy, would you like to talk us through? And whatever we don't get to, we'll try to answer them in writing and post them up on the website. Jeremy, I can't hear you. Maybe you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. First question asks, are there plans for a general commissioning tool like the ETS and KNX?
No plans for that.
The closest we have to that is the diagnostic tool, which is for temporary connection to a bus. We won't be making it, we'll be giving requirements for that. But we don't restrict what application controllers can do. So that doesn't quite make sense to have a general commissioning tool. Remember, application controllers don't usually just have, there's not one, doesn't tend to be just one DALI subnet in a lighting system, it's lots of them. So directly commissioning on a single DALI subnet isn't usually worthwhile for a large system. So it's always manufacturer specific commissioning at the higher level, at the backbone.
Yeah, so a universal tool doesn't make sense for DALI, unfortunately. No. We have discussed this extensively, I would say. All right, next question.
Next question, we only have probably time for one more. Somebody's asking where they can find the training material, and I'll say it hasn't been published yet, so we'll let everybody know as soon as
I think
that's available.
I see that's from Jenny. That's, I think, technical training material,
okay.
Which is not published either, of course. it's only about a quarter of the way through, so it's not available.
And then I'll just say one more. Someone asked if we could have a list of all groups and details of how to apply, who to apply to. So we'll get, if it's a marketing related, if you're interested in a marketing related group, I'll send out, we'll send out some communication so you can contact me for that. If it's a technical related group you're interested in, it would be Scott to talk to. And we'll
Yeah, and
include
of
information
course
on that with our.
you can see them all on the website. Just go to the log in and go to the admin menu, my account, then you can subscribe to the groups. But if not, just contact us, Jeremy or me.
And with
All right.
that,
Well, I think we're at the
our
top of the
time.
hour, so I think we'll call it there. If there are any questions we didn't get to in the live session, we'll try to respond to those in writing and put them up with the materials when we put it up on the website. Thank you very much, everybody, for your participation. Thanks very much to the presenters, and thanks everyone for everyone that voted and supported us. And yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you. Jeremy, can you put us back into practice mode?